Maya Chen stood in the docking bay of the Galactic Council station and felt very small. Around her, alien delegates towered like giants. Some had 4 arms. Others had scales that shimmered under the artificial lights. A few floated in special atmosphere suits filled with colored gas. She was barely 5 feet tall. Her simple gray diplomatic suit looked plain next to the elaborate robes and armor the other species wore. Maya clutched her datapad close to her chest and tried not to show fear. A massive insectoid creature approached her. Its body was covered in hard black shell, and it stood at least 9 feet tall. Multiple eyes stared down at her. This was Ambassador Krell of the Hive Worlds. Maya had studied his file during the 3-month journey here. "So this is humanity's representative?" Krell's voice came through a translator device. It sounded amused. "I expected something more impressive." Laughter rippled through the nearby aliens. A reptilian delegate with red scales and sharp teeth grinned widely. "Are all humans so tiny? No wonder they have not left their small corner of space." Maya forced herself to smile politely. "Ambassador Chen of Earth, it's an honor to meet the Council." "An honor?" Krell leaned down, his massive head filling her vision. "Your species submitted a request for trade routes through Council space. Tell me, little human, what could your primitive world possibly offer us?" More laughter. Maya felt her face grow hot, but she kept her voice steady. "Earth has unique biological resources, cultural diversity, and scientific innovation that—" "Resources we already have," a crystalline being interrupted. Its body looked like living glass and light bent strangely around it. "Innovation? Your species has barely achieved faster-than-light travel. You are children playing in the stars." The welcoming ceremony, if it could be called that, continued for another hour. Maya was assigned quarters in the lower section of the station, far from the diplomatic suites. The room was small and cold. No one offered to help her find her way. No one invited her to the informal gatherings that happened before the official summit. She sat on the narrow bed and stared at the metal walls. Her hands shook slightly. She had known this would be difficult. Earth's first contact with alien life had happened only 5 years ago. The Galactic Council had millions of years of history. 47 different species, all advanced, all powerful, and they all thought humans were weak. Maya pulled up her datapad and reviewed her notes. She had been chosen for this mission because of her work in xenobiology. She had studied the few alien samples Earth had received. She had learned 6 different alien languages. She had prepared for months. But preparation could not change the fact that she was alone, surrounded by creatures who saw her as less than nothing. A memory flashed through her mind. The colony on Kepler 442b. The accident. 300 people dead because of a system failure. She had been there. She had survived. Sometimes she still heard the screams in her sleep. Maya pushed the memory away. She had work to do. The next morning, she attended her first council meeting. The chamber was enormous, with seats arranged in a circle. Each delegate had a platform that adjusted to their species' needs. Maya's platform barely lifted her above the floor level. The council leader, a tall aquatic humanoid named Prime Meln, opened the session. His skin was blue-green and covered in patterns that shifted like waves. He spoke in a melodic voice that the translators converted to words. "We gather to review new membership applications. Today, we consider the human request." Krell stood immediately. "I move to reject this application. Humans are too primitive, too aggressive, too unstable. Their planet is a death world by our standards. Why would we allow such creatures into Council space?" "Death world?" Maya spoke up, her voice small in the huge chamber. "Earth is classified as a death world?" The crystalline delegate Quix made a sound like tinkling glass. Of course. Your gravity is crushing. Your atmosphere is corrosive. Your planet has violent weather, deadly predators, and toxic plants. Most council species would die on your world within hours. But humans live there, Maya said quietly. We evolved there. Exactly. Krell clicked his mandibles together. Which tells us what kind of species you are. Dangerous, unpredictable. The debate continued. Species after species spoke against Earth's application. They cited human history, the wars, the violence, the environmental damage. They talked about how humans ate meat from dead animals. They mentioned human literature and entertainment, full of stories about death and disaster. Maya sat silent through it all. What could she say? Everything they mentioned was true. Humans had fought terrible wars. Earth was dangerous compared to the garden worlds most council species called home. When the session ended, she walked back to her quarters alone. In the corridor, the Vorath warrior who had mocked her earlier suddenly appeared. He was massive, with muscles like steel cables and claws that could tear through metal. "Move aside, human," he growled. Maya stepped to the side, but not fast enough. The Vorath's shoulder slammed into her. He had pushed her deliberately, expecting her to fall, to cry out, to show weakness. Maya's body moved without thinking. Years of training on Earth, in Earth's heavy gravity, with Earth's harsh conditions. She absorbed the impact, bent her knees, and stayed upright. The Vorath outweighed her by at least 300 pounds, but she barely moved. The warrior stopped and looked back. For a moment, something crossed his reptilian face. Surprise? Confusion? Maya met his eyes. For just a second, something flickered in her expression. Something that came from growing up on a death world. Something that remembered surviving when 300 others had not. Then she smiled politely and walked past him. Behind her, the Vorath stood very still, watching her go. His claws twitched slightly. In his translator, a small alert appeared, a notification that his aggressive action had been logged by the station's systems. But he barely noticed it. He was too busy wondering why the tiny human had not fallen, and why, for just a moment, he had felt like he was the prey instead of the predator. Maya reached her quarters and closed the door. Her heart was pounding. But her hands were steady. Tomorrow, the real summit would begin. Tomorrow, they would start the biological compatibility tests that all new species had to pass. She pulled up the test descriptions on her datapad and began to read. Extreme temperatures, low oxygen, high gravity, toxic exposure. Maya allowed herself a small, tired smile. They wanted to test a human's limits? They wanted to see what a death world species could endure? Let them try. The biological testing facility was built like a fortress. Maya walked through the sterile white corridors, escorted by 2 security drones. Other delegates had completed their tests yesterday, quick scans, simple measurements. For Maya, the council had scheduled an entire day of procedures. The head examiner was a quick scientist named Crystalline 7. His transparent body reflected light in rainbow patterns as he studied his data screens. Ambassador Chen, welcome. These tests are standard protocol for all new species. I understand, Maya said. She noticed he did not look at her when he spoke. First, we will measure your baseline biology, then environmental tolerances, then nutritional compatibility. Crystalline 7 gestured to a chamber with glass walls. Please enter the scanning room. Maya stepped inside. Immediately, sensors activated. Lights swept over her body. Data streamed across multiple screens outside the chamber. She stood still and waited. Crystalline 7's body suddenly pulsed with dark colors. This cannot be correct. Run the scan again. The lights swept over Maya a second time. Then a third. What is it? Maya asked through the intercom. Your stress hormones, the scientist said slowly. They are at levels that would be fatal to most species. Are you feeling ill? Maya thought about the past 2 days. The mockery, the isolation, the constant awareness that she was alone among aliens who hated her. I feel fine. Impossible. These cortisol levels would cause system failure in 43 council species. Your heart rate is elevated, your blood pressure is high, but you show no physical distress. I grew up on Earth, Maya said quietly. Maybe our baseline is different from yours. Crystalline 7 made notes on his screen. He did not look happy. Proceed to the thermal chamber. The next room looked like a metal box. Maya entered and the door sealed behind her. Immediately, the temperature dropped. Her breath came out in white clouds. The readout on the wall showed the temperature falling, 0 degrees Celsius, then -10, then -20. Maya shivered. Her teeth chattered. But she had experienced worse during winter survival training in Canada. She wrapped her arms around herself and waited. Outside, Crystalline 7 watched his monitors. Subject is experiencing thermal stress, but vital signs remain stable, decreasing temperature further. -30, -40. Maya's fingers went numb, her lips turned blue, but she stayed standing. She had been trained for this. Humans could survive extreme cold. People had climbed Mount Everest. Explorers had crossed Antarctica. This was nothing compared to what humans had already endured. After 15 minutes, the temperature returned to normal. Maya stumbled out of the chamber, her whole body shaking. A medical drone offered her a warming blanket. She wrapped it around her shoulders. Remarkable, Crystalline 7 said, but he sounded disturbed rather than impressed. Next test. The high-gravity chamber was worse. Maya lay on a platform while the artificial gravity increased. Her body became heavier and heavier. Her lungs struggled to expand. Her heart worked harder with each beat. The gravity reached 2 times Earth normal. Maya's bones ached, her vision blurred at the edges, but Earth's gravity was already higher than most council worlds. Humans had evolved under that crushing weight. Her body knew how to handle this. 3 times Earth normal. Maya groaned. Blood pounded in her head. The medical monitors screamed warnings, but she did not pass out. She did not cry for help. After 10 minutes, the gravity returned to normal. Maya lay gasping on the platform. Every muscle hurt, but she was conscious. She was alive. Crystalline 7's body had turned a murky brown color. No council species could endure that without protective equipment. Your biology is disturbing. The tests continued. Low oxygen. Maya's breathing became labored, but she adapted. High carbon dioxide. She felt dizzy but remained conscious. Bright lights, loud sounds, electrical interference. Each test pushed her body to its limits. Each time, she survived. By midday, Maya was exhausted. Her body ached everywhere, but the tests were not finished. Now we test nutritional compatibility, Crystalline 7 said. He led her to a dining area where several other delegates had gathered to watch. Krell was there. So was the Vorath warrior. They whispered to each other and laughed. On the table sat various foods. Crystalline 7 explained each one. This fruit contains high levels of capsaicin, which burns organic tissue. This beverage contains ethanol, a solvent. This dessert contains theobromine, which disrupts cellular function. Maya looked at the spread. She recognized the compounds he described. Capsaicin, like hot peppers. Ethanol, alcohol. Theobromine, chocolate. These were things humans ate every day. You want me to eat these? She asked. If you can, Krell said from his seat. We believe they will make you quite sick. Perhaps this will teach your species some humility. Maya sat down at the table. She picked up the fruit first and bit into it. Immediately her mouth burned. The capsaicin was concentrated, far stronger than any pepper she had eaten on Earth. Her eyes watered. Her nose ran. But she chewed and swallowed. The aliens watched in stunned silence. She drank the ethanol next. It burned down her throat. The alcohol content was high, maybe 40%. Maya coughed, but she finished the glass. Her head felt warm and fuzzy, but she had drunk beer at college parties stronger than this. Finally, the chocolate. She ate the entire piece. It was rich and bitter, with enough theobromine to kill a dog. For a human, it was just very dark chocolate. Maya wiped her mouth with a napkin. "Is there more? I'm still hungry." Krell stood up abruptly and left the room. The Vorath warrior stared at her with wide eyes. Other delegates murmured to each other in their various languages. Crystalline 7 approached with his data pad. "The biological readings show your body is processing these toxins without significant damage. Your liver and kidneys are filtering them efficiently. This should not be possible." "On Earth, we eat these things for pleasure," Maya said softly. "We add capsaicin to food to make it taste better. We drink ethanol socially. We give theobromine to children as treats." The scientist's body flickered with confused colors. "Your world is more hostile than we imagined." As Maya left the testing facility, she passed a young Meln in the corridor. This delegate was smaller than Prime Meln, with lighter coloring and a nervous demeanor. Maya had noticed him before. He was always alone, always looking uncomfortable. "Ambassador Chen," the young Melon said quietly. "I am Junior Melon Tide. I wanted to say that I think what they are doing to you is wrong. These tests are meant to humiliate you." Maya stopped. "Thank you," she said. "What's your name?" "Tide. My people consider me inferior because I come from the shallow water regions. I understand what it feels like to be judged unfairly." For the first time since arriving at the station, Maya smiled genuinely. "Then we're similar, you and I." Tide's face patterns shifted into what might have been a smile. "Perhaps. Though I must say watching you eat those toxins without dying was the most terrifying thing I have seen at this summit." Maya laughed despite her exhaustion. She made a friend today. That was something. But as she walked back to her quarters, she did not notice Crystalline 7 in his laboratory, staring at the biological data. She did not see him try to access Earth's full database file. She did not see the red warning symbols that appeared on his screen, or the alert that said, "Access denied, clearance level insufficient." She did not know that her test results had triggered something in the Council's systems. Something that would change everything. Maya reached her room and collapsed on the bed. Tomorrow was the main summit session. Tomorrow, they would vote on Earth's application. She closed her eyes and hoped she had done enough. But deep in the station's AI core, alarms were beginning to sound. Maya woke to the sound of her door chime. She checked the time, early morning by station standards. She had barely slept 4 hours. Her body still ached from yesterday's tests. "Ambassador Chen," a robotic voice said through the intercom. "You are not required at the emergency council session. Please remain in your quarters." Emergency session? Maya sat up quickly. "What's happening?" "Classified information. Stay in your quarters." The drone outside her door moved into a blocking position. Something was very wrong. Maya paced her small room. Were they voting to reject Earth's application without even letting her speak? Had she failed already? She pulled up her datapad and tried to access the council network, but her clearance level was too low. Outside her room, Tide swam past in his mobile water suit. He saw her through the door window, and his face patterns changed to show concern. He glanced at the guard drone, then activated a small device on his suit. Maya's datapad beeped quietly. A message appeared. "Recording device attached to my suit. They cannot block short-range transmission. Listen." Maya held the pad to her ear and heard voices from the council chamber. Prime Melon's voice came through first. "This emergency session is called to order. Scientist Crystalline 7 has brought urgent information regarding the human species. This is highly irregular, Krell protested. Why was this not scheduled properly? Crystalline 7's voice was tight with tension. Because I attempted to access the complete database file on humanity, and the Council AI responded with a priority alert. What I discovered requires immediate discussion. What kind of alert? Asked the Vorath warrior, whose name Maya had learned was General Kravik. A species classification warning. Level 9. Silence. Then the chamber erupted in noise. Maya pressed the pad closer to her ear, her heart pounding. Impossible! Krell shouted. Only 3 species in the entire galaxy hold Level 9 classifications. The Drac Swarm, the Ancient Vor, and the Silicon Collective. All of them are vast empires with weapons that can destroy planets. Humans are primitives. I thought so too, Crystalline 7 said. But the AI does not make errors. Observe. Maya heard a mechanical voice. The Council AI. Attention. Species. Homo sapiens. Origin. Earth. Sol system. Classification. Hazard Level 9. This is not an error. This is an official warning. On what basis? Prime Meln demanded. The AI continued in its emotionless tone. Species evolved on Class 12 Death World. Gravity 1.00 G, higher than 73% of Council homeworlds. Atmosphere contains reactive oxygen. Surface temperature varies by 90 degrees Celsius seasonally. Native predator species, 8,000 classified. Extinction rate on homeworld, 98%. Many species come from harsh worlds, Kravik argued. Additional factors, the AI said. Homo sapiens exhibits persistence predator biology, can maintain pursuit of prey for 48 hours without rest. Sweating mechanism allows heat dissipation unavailable to most predators. Binocular vision optimized for tracking movement, can accurately throw projectiles at 70 meters distance with enough force to kill. Maya's hands trembled. She had never thought about her body this way. But the AI was right. Humans had hunted animals by chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion. Her ancestors had killed from a distance with thrown spears. They are tool users, Crystalline 7 added, but not ordinary tool users. Ambassador Chen survived environmental conditions yesterday that should have killed her. Her stress hormones were at fatal levels by our standards. She was functioning normally. Stress adaptation, the AI continued. Humans produce adrenaline and cortisol in response to threats. These chemicals increase strength, speed, and pain tolerance. Most Council species would die from such hormonal spikes. Humans use them regularly. This is propaganda, Krell insisted. The humans submitted this file themselves. They want us to fear them. Negative, the AI responded. This file was compiled by Council observers using independent data. Additional evidence, humans practice recreational consumption of neurotoxins, including ethanol, caffeine, and capsaicin. They form social bonds with predator species and keep them in their homes. They send exploration vessels beyond their solar system for no strategic purpose. Curiosity alone. Curiosity? A delegate Maya did not recognize laughed nervously. That is not dangerous. Continuation. Human Cultural Database contains extensive fictional works depicting their own extinction, planetary destruction, and catastrophic events. Analysis suggests humans regularly imagine worst-case scenarios as entertainment. Psychological profile indicates species-wide tendency to plan for disaster. The chamber went quiet. Maya felt cold. She had never realized how strange human behavior must look to aliens. Humans watched disaster movies for fun. They read stories about zombies and apocalypses. They prepared for things that would probably never happen. Show them the war data, Crystalline 7 said quietly. The AI complied. Human history includes approximately 15,000 recorded wars over 7,000 years. Weapons development accelerated rapidly. Current arsenal includes nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons capable of rendering their own planet uninhabitable. Despite this capability, weapons have not been used in global conflict for 80 years. They have learned peace, then, Prime Melon said hopefully. Negative. Analysis suggests restraint, not inability. Humans maintain these weapons as deterrent. They call this strategy mutually assured destruction. They are willing to die if it means their enemies also die. Maya closed her eyes. The Cold War. She had learned about it in school. Two superpowers with enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world several times over. They had come so close to using them, but they had not. Furthermore, the AI continued, humans exhibit extreme pack-bonding behavior. They form loyal attachments to their social groups. When these groups are threatened, humans demonstrate significantly increased aggression and decreased self-preservation instinct. Historical records show individuals sacrificing their own lives to protect others. This behavior is common, not exceptional. They die for each other? Kravik sounded confused. Affirmative. Human military forces operate on principles of collective protection. Abandoning wounded or captured members is considered the gravest dishonor. Humans will enter dangerous situations to retrieve deceased members of their groups. The phrase, "leave no one behind," appears repeatedly in their cultural documents. The chamber was completely silent now. There is more, Crystalline 7 said. Yesterday, Ambassador Chen consumed 3 substances that should have caused severe illness or death. She described them as common food items on Earth. I verified this. Humans regularly consume toxins that would kill most of us. They have evolved resistance to a remarkable range of poisons. Why? Someone asked. Why would a species develop such abilities? Because their planet forced them to adapt or die, the scientist answered. Earth is so hostile that humans evolved to survive almost anything. Extreme heat, extreme cold, low oxygen, high pressure, toxic compounds, they can endure it all. Not comfortably, but they survive. This makes them dangerous, Krell said firmly. We should deny their application immediately. Wait, Kravik said. Maya was surprised to hear the warrior speak up. Yesterday, I deliberately pushed the human ambassador. I expected her to fall. She did not move. For just a moment, I saw something in her eyes. Something I have only seen in the eyes of apex predators. What did you see? Prime Melon asked. Recognition. She knew I was testing her. She knew I was trying to humiliate her. And she chose not to respond. That is not weakness. That is control. That is far more dangerous than simple aggression. The chamber murmured with worried voices. I move that we reject the human application immediately, Krell said. They are too dangerous. We cannot allow them into council space. I second this motion, another delegate said. Before we vote, Prime Melon said slowly, I want to hear from Ambassador Chen. She deserves to respond to these accusations. Denied, Krell snapped. This is a security matter. The human does not need to... The alarm cut him off. A loud, piercing sound that made everyone stop talking. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Warning, the station's security AI announced. Unauthorized vessels approaching. Hostile intent detected. All delegates proceed to secure locations. Maya ran to her door. The guard drone had already left, responding to the emergency. She looked out her window and saw small attack ships closing in on the station. They bore the marks of the Scar Collective, pirates known throughout the galaxy for taking hostages and demanding ransoms. The ships opened fire. The station's shields held for 3 seconds, then failed. The station shuddered with impact. Maya grabbed her datapad. Tide's message was still active. She heard screaming from the council chamber, heard Prime Melon shouting orders, heard weapons fire in the corridors. The guard drones were being destroyed. The pirates were boarding the station, and the council delegates, powerful, ancient, advanced species from across the galaxy, had no idea how to fight back. Maya took a deep breath. Then she opened her door and ran toward the council chamber. It was time to show them what a level 9 hazard could really do. The corridor was filled with smoke and flashing red lights. Maya ran toward the council chamber, her mind racing. She heard weapons fire ahead, plasma rifles from the sound of it. The Scar pirates were well armed. She skidded to a stop at a corner and peered around it. 3 pirates in armored suits were advancing down the hallway. They were shooting at anything that moved. Behind them, she could hear screaming from the council chamber. Maya's heart pounded. The adrenaline she had read about in the AI's report flooded her system. Her hands stopped shaking. Her vision became sharper. Her body knew what to do, millions of years of evolution preparing her for exactly this moment. She looked around and saw a maintenance panel. She pried it open with her fingers, ignoring the pain as sharp metal cut her palm. Inside were power conduits and control systems. Maya had studied the station's schematics during the flight here. She knew how these systems worked. She pulled 2 wires loose and crossed them. Sparks flew. Then the lights in that section of corridor went completely dark. The pirates stopped advancing. She heard them talking in their harsh language. They activated flashlights mounted on their weapons. Maya smiled in the darkness. Humans had evolved as hunters in the African savanna. Their eyes were not as good as some predators in the dark, but they could adapt. And more importantly, humans knew how to think, how to plan, how to turn the environment into a weapon. She moved silently through the darkness. The pirates were focused ahead, not watching behind them. Maya picked up a piece of broken metal from the floor, debris from the station's damaged wall. It was sharp on one end. Not much of a weapon, but it would do. She moved behind the last pirate. Before he could turn, she struck him hard behind the knee, a weak point in his armor. He fell with a cry of pain. Maya grabbed his plasma rifle as he went down and rolled away into the shadows. The other 2 pirates spun around, firing blindly. Their shots hit their fallen comrade instead of Maya. She waited, completely still, letting them waste their ammunition. When they paused to reload, she fired twice. Both shots hit their targets. The pirates fell. Maya stood up, breathing hard. Her hands hurt. Her whole body shook with adrenaline. But she had survived. More importantly, she now had a weapon and a plan. She reached the council chamber. The main doors were sealed, but she could hear chaos inside. The pirates had already breached the room. She needed to get in there, but she was one human against at least a dozen armed pirates. Think. What would work? She looked at the environmental controls near the door. The station had life support systems designed for 47 different species. Each species needed different atmospheres, temperatures, pressures. Maya accessed the control panel and began making changes. She increased the carbon dioxide levels in the council chamber. Not enough to kill anyone immediately, but enough to make most species drowsy and confused. Humans could tolerate higher CO2 than almost any other species. It would affect her too, but less than it would affect the pirates. She also lowered the temperature by 10 degrees. Again, uncomfortable for her, but potentially dangerous for the cold-blooded Scar. Then she waited for 30 seconds. Long enough for the changes to take effect. She used the plasma rifle to blast open the door and rushed inside. The council chamber was chaos. Delegates huddled behind their platforms. Pirates stood in the center, their weapons trained on the council members. But they were moving slowly, breathing hard, confused by the environmental changes. Maya fired at the closest pirate. He went down. The others turned toward her, but their reactions were sluggish. She dove behind a platform as return fire blazed over her head. "Stay down!" she shouted to the delegates. "All of you, stay behind cover!" "The human!" Krell's voice came from somewhere in the room. "She is attacking them!" Maya rolled to a new position and fired again. Another pirate fell. She was not a perfect shot, but she did not need to be. She just needed to keep them off balance, keep them reacting instead of acting. A pirate got close to Kravik's position. The Vorath warrior was trying to fight, but his species was not built for this kind of combat. He was strong, but slow. The pirate raised his weapon to fire. Maya threw the piece of scrap metal she had kept. It hit the pirate's helmet hard enough to crack the faceplate. He stumbled backward. Kravik used the opportunity to grab him and slam him into the floor. "Good throw," Kravik rumbled, surprise in his voice. "Humans are good at throwing things," Maya replied. She fired at another pirate. "It's how we killed prey before we invented guns." More pirates were coming through the main entrance. Too many. Maya's rifle was running low on charge. She needed a different approach. She ran to the environmental controls inside the chamber and made more adjustments. She shut off the gravity in the central area of the room. Immediately, the pirates began floating. They flailed in confusion, unable to move properly in zero gravity. But Maya had trained for zero-G movement on Earth. Humans had been going to space for over a century. This was familiar territory. She pushed off a platform and flew through the air, using the confused pirates as stepping stones. Each time she touched one, she pushed them spinning away. Their weapons fired wildly, hitting walls and each other instead of her. Tide emerged from behind a platform, his water suit allowing him to move easily in the zero gravity. Together, they corralled the floating pirates toward one corner of the room. Maya reactivated the gravity. The pirates crashed to the floor in a heap. "Restrain them!" Maya shouted. The delegates who could move safely began helping, using whatever materials they could find to tie up the disoriented pirates. But there was still a problem. The pirate ship outside was preparing to fire on the station again. Maya could see it through the chamber's observation window. If they breached the hull, everyone would die. Maya accessed the station's communication system. "Scar vessel, this is Ambassador Chen of Earth. Stand down immediately." A rough voice responded. "We have your counsel. Surrender or we will destroy this station." "You have nothing," Maya said coldly. "Your boarding party is captured. Your attack has failed. If you fire on this station, you will kill your own people along with us. I know Scar culture values clan loyalty above everything. Are you willing to murder your clan members?" Silence on the other end. Maya continued, "But I also know you're practical. Here's my offer. You leave now, and we'll let your people on this station go in escape pods. No charges, no pursuit. You live, they live, everyone goes home." "Why would we trust a council promise?" the pirate captain asked. "You're not trusting the council. You're trusting me. I'm human. We're level 9 hazard, remember? That means when we make a deal, we keep it. Because if we don't, we become the monsters you fear. And I'm not a monster. I'm just a diplomat who wants everyone to survive today." Another long silence. Then, "You have 30 minutes to load them into escape pods." The communication cut off. The pirate ship began slowly backing away. Maya collapsed against a wall, her legs suddenly weak. The adrenaline was fading, and all the pain came rushing back. Her cut hand throbbed. Her ribs hurt. She had not realized it before, but one was probably cracked. She had a concussion from when debris had hit her head during the initial attack. She had been fighting through all of that and had not even noticed. Crystalline 7 approached her slowly. "You were injured?" "Just a little," Maya said. Her voice sounded distant to her own ears. "Nothing serious." "You have a fractured rib and a skull fracture. You should be unconscious. How are you standing?" Maya tried to answer, but suddenly the room was spinning. She felt hands catching her before she hit the floor, heard voices calling for medical assistance, saw Tide's worried face looking down at her. "This is what level 9 means," she heard Kravik say from somewhere far away. "She fought for us while seriously wounded. She never showed weakness because showing weakness would have meant we all died." By all the stars, Prime Meln breathed. What have we done? We mocked her. We tested her cruelly. And when danger came, she saved us. Maya wanted to tell them it was okay, that she understood their fear, that she did not blame them. But the darkness was closing in, and she could not find the words. The last thing she heard was Krell's voice, very quiet and very shaken. We called her primitive. We called her weak. We were fools. All of us were fools. Then she heard nothing at all. Maya woke slowly. Her head felt heavy and her body ached everywhere, but the pain was distant, dulled by whatever medicine the station's medical systems had given her. She opened her eyes and saw a white ceiling, soft lights, the quiet hum of medical equipment. She tried to sit up, but a gentle hand pressed her shoulder back down. "Please rest, Ambassador Chen." It was Crystalline 7. His crystalline body reflected the medical bay lights in soft rainbow colors. "Your injuries were severe. Your rib is healing well, but your concussion requires more time." Maya blinked at him. "How long was I unconscious?" 18 hours. The council has been concerned. Maya tried to smile, but her face hurt. "I thought they wanted to get rid of me." "Much has changed." Crystalline 7 moved to adjust one of her monitors. "You saved 47 delegates yesterday, including me." "Including the ones who treated you worst." Maya looked down at her bandaged hand. The memories were coming back now. The darkness, the pirates, the desperate fight. "I did what anyone would do." "No," the scientist said firmly. "Most species would have hidden, would have preserved themselves. You ran toward danger to protect others. This is apparently very human behavior." The door to the medical bay opened. Delegates began filing in, one by one. Tide came first, his face patterns showing relief and happiness. Then Kravik, the massive Vorath warrior, moving carefully so as not to intimidate. Prime Meln entered with several other council members. Even Krell came, though he stayed near the back. "Ambassador Chen," Prime Meln said formally, "the council wishes to express its profound gratitude for your actions. You saved many lives yesterday." "I was just doing my job," Maya said quietly. "Your job is diplomacy, not combat," Kravik rumbled. He stepped forward and placed something on her bedside table. It was a ceremonial blade in an ornate sheath. "Among my people, this weapon is given only to proven warriors. You have earned it. You fought with the heart of a Vorath, but the mind of something far more dangerous, a human." Maya stared at the gift. "I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," Kravik replied. "Just accept that we misjudged you. We saw your size and assumed weakness. We forgot that on death worlds, the most dangerous predators are often small and clever." Krell moved forward slowly. The massive insectoid looked uncomfortable, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Ambassador Chen, I owe you an apology. I led the mockery against you and your species. I pushed for Earth's application to be rejected. I was wrong." He paused, then continued with difficulty. "Yesterday, when the pirates came, I froze. I have commanded fleets. I have negotiated treaties, but I have never faced violence personally. You, who come from a species I called primitive, knew exactly what to do. You were calm. You were effective. You were everything a leader should be in a crisis." "I wasn't calm inside," Maya admitted. "I was terrified. But humans have a saying, courage is not the absence of fear, it's acting despite the fear." "That is the difference," Crystalline 7 said. "Most council species evolved on gentle worlds. We have had millions of years of peace. We have forgotten how to face danger. But humans evolved in constant danger. You have only had peace for a few generations. You remember how to fight, how to survive." Prime Meln gestured to the other delegates. We have discussed Earth's application extensively over the past 18 hours. We reviewed the database again. We looked at the evidence with new eyes. He moved closer to Maya's bed. The level 9 hazard rating troubled us. We thought it meant you were a danger to us. But the AI's classification is more complex than that. Hazard level 9 means you are dangerous, yes. But it also recognizes something else. Something we missed. What? Maya asked. Potential, Tide spoke up, his voice excited. The AI rates species not just on their capacity for harm, but on their capacity for adaptation, innovation, and growth. Level 9 species are rare because they combine many traits. Humans are physically resilient, mentally creative, socially cooperative, and emotionally complex. You are dangerous because you can survive and thrive in almost any environment. But that same adaptability makes you valuable allies. Another delegate stepped forward, one Maya did not recognize. I am Scholar Ven of the Ancient Archives. I have studied the other level 9 species in our database. The Drac swarm conquered their neighbors through sheer numbers. The ancient Vor used superior technology to dominate. The Silicon Collective absorbed other civilizations into their network. But humans, your history shows something different. What do you mean? Maya asked. You fight terrible wars, yes. You have weapons that can destroy worlds. But you also have art, music, literature. You care for your sick and elderly even when they cannot contribute to society. You send messages into space hoping to find friends among the stars. You are capable of great violence, but you choose peace when possible. This makes you unique among level 9 species. You are dangerous, but you are not cruel. Krell spoke again. I researched human history last night. I learned about your wars, yes. But I also learned about your peacekeepers, your doctors who travel to disaster zones, your volunteers who help strangers. You have organizations dedicated entirely to helping others, asking nothing in return. This behavior is almost unknown in the galaxy. Maya felt tears stinging her eyes. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We hurt each other sometimes. All species do, Prime Meln said gently. But most species, when given power, use it for themselves. Humans seem to struggle constantly with the question of how to use their power responsibly. This struggle is what makes you trustworthy. You question yourselves. You doubt. You try to be better. He pulled up a holographic display. The Council has voted. Earth's application has been approved. Not just for trade routes, but for full Council membership. Furthermore, we would like to establish an embassy on Earth. We want to learn from you, to understand how a Death World species maintains its compassion despite coming from such a harsh environment. Maya wiped her eyes. You want to learn from us? But you're so much more advanced. In technology, yes, Crystalline 7 said. But in resilience, in adaptability, in the ability to face adversity, you are far ahead of us. Yesterday proved that. When crisis came, the most advanced species in the galaxy panicked. The newest species, the one we mocked, saved us all. Tide moved closer and placed his webbed hand gently on her shoulder. You also taught me something important. You befriended me when no one else would. You treated me with respect, even though I come from a lesser subspecies. You judged me by my character, not by what others said about me. This is very human, I think. Maya smiled at him. That's what we try to do. We don't always succeed, but we try. Over the next few days, as Maya recovered, delegates visited regularly. They brought gifts. They asked questions about Earth. They wanted to know about human culture, human history, human dreams for the future. Kravik brought recordings of human martial arts. I must learn these techniques. Your species has developed hundreds of ways to fight without weapons. This is remarkable. A delegate from a species of flying beings brought human music. These vibrations speak of emotion in ways our songs do not. How do you encode such complex feelings in sound? Krell himself brought human literature, books that had been translated into council languages. I am reading your stories about disaster and survival. They are terrifying, but they are also hopeful. Even when everything is destroyed, your characters find reasons to continue. Why? Maya thought about it. Because that's what humans do. We survive, we endure, and we believe that tomorrow might be better than today. Hope is what kept us alive when we were just small primates on a dangerous planet. It's still what keeps us going now. On her last day at the station, before returning to Earth, Maya stood in the council chamber one final time. This time she stood at the main podium, not on a low platform in the corner. "Members of the Galactic Council," she began. "Thank you for accepting humanity into your community. I know our introduction was dramatic." Light laughter echoed through the chamber. "You judged us by your standards," Maya continued. "You saw weakness in our size, primitiveness in our technology, violence in our history. But we didn't ask for the world that made us. We didn't choose to evolve on a death world surrounded by danger. That was simply our reality." She looked around at all the different species, all watching her with attention and respect now. "But we refuse to let our harsh origins define us. Yes, we are capable of violence. Yes, we have weapons that frighten you. Yes, we survived things that would have killed most species. But we also create beauty. We also help strangers. We also hope for a better future. We are dangerous, but we choose to be kind when we can. Level 9 hazard doesn't mean we're monsters. It means we're survivors. And if you give us a chance, we'll prove that we can be not just survivors, but friends, allies, partners in building something better than any of us could build alone." The chamber was silent for a moment. Then Prime Melon stood and began to clap his hands together. A gesture he had learned was important to humans. One by one, other delegates joined. Soon the entire chamber was filled with applause in dozens of different forms. As Maya left the station on her shuttle, heading back to Earth, she looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there were 46 other species, all different, all unique, and now humanity would walk among them. Her datapad beeped, a message from the Council AI. "Ambassador Chen, your actions have been logged and analyzed. Humanity's hazard rating remains level 9. However, a new designation has been added to your species file, potential level 5 diplomatic asset. This indicates high probability of positive contribution to Council affairs. Welcome to the galaxy." Maya smiled and looked down at Earth growing larger in her view screen. Home, beautiful, dangerous, life-filled Earth. The death world that had made humanity strong. She pulled up her communication system and sent a message to Earth's government. "Mission successful. They were afraid of us, but now they're willing to give us a chance. That's all we need. That's all we've ever needed." As her shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere, Maya thought about everything that had happened. The mockery, the tests, the battle, the acceptance. Humanity's journey to the stars had truly begun. And despite all the dangers ahead, despite all the challenges they would face, Maya felt hope. Because hope, she had learned, was the most human thing of all.